Welcome to another Lupo 3L video. In this video we want to discover what's the current status of the car. So what did I do so far? First of all, I cleaned the car properly, inside and outside, and also the drains and everything. And for example, one thing that was very important to me were the side indicators, which were extremely yellow and just didn't look nice. You can get them very easily, for very cheap price, so it's only like €5 for one of them. So €10 for both of them, very easy to change. And then also very important is to clean the drains here. So if you take the wheel arch liner off to reach that indicator, make sure that you also clean the drains here. Then you can see the moon discs look nice now, so they were a little bit scratched because I bought them used, but I'm pretty happy with them right now. And then I was trying to clean the tires a bit, because basically these are old winter tires. And what I did for this is this company DIY Detailing was sending me this tire dressing. And I was trying this, and I can show you in a minute how this works. And actually it's really nice. So they sent me this for free just to test, but what I really liked was, first of all, the nice smell, and then it's not greasy or anything. So you can see even here on the lawn, there's nothing sticking to the tire, and it just looks great. It also lasts for very long. And as you can see here, the plastic parts of the Lupo are not really in great condition, but I sprayed a little bit of that tire dressing on here. And actually, it's also good to make your plastic parts nice, black and shiny again. So I will use it on the other plastic parts around the car as well. The next thing I did was I was making the headlights pretty again. And of course I did not polish them because that would be illegal, but now they're nice and shiny. So they're not yellow anymore, at least not completely. And another thing that really bothered me at the beginning was that I didn't have this cover, and a lot of Lupo 3Ls don't have this cover. There's the towing hook underneath, and a lot of Lupo 3Ls are missing this right-hand side cover. So I was redesigning it myself in the end, because I couldn't source it from anywhere. And I was writing to all the people that are disassembling Lupo 3Ls right now, and all of them didn't have this part. So I simply designed it myself. So I took the left-hand side panel, so in driving direction, and I was measuring it, I was redesigning it, and I can show you how I did this on the computer. So first of all, I took the rough shape, and although this part looks pretty simple, it's actually all curved, so it's not too easy, but it's a surface that is curved in this direction, but it's also curved in that direction, as you can see here. And then I'm trimming this surface together with the side surface, and I put a fillet around there. So that is my first basic shape, and that was the first part I 3D printed. You can also see here that the 3D printing wasn't that ideal at the beginning because I didn't have a support structure, but it didn't really matter because I just wanted to test if my surface parameters are correct. And then there were some little adjustments, and I was adding some reinforcements and some clips. And this is version 2 that is on the car right now. You can see that the fillet actually doesn't work exactly, and also it's a bit short on here at the front, but there will be another iteration and maybe even another iteration. So it's always like a game, and you try to have at least iterations as possible. But this is version 2 and it already fits quite nicely. I put it on the car, and then I also spray painted it with matte black paint. So this is the outcome, and I'm actually quite happy with that. So if you're interested in redesigning car parts or anything for your car, if you need special plastic parts, then you can just contact me with the contact details below. Just write me on my homepage or my email that you find underneath the video, and then I can design parts like this for you and also produce them for you. Okay, so this is the first version. It is pink because I already designed the second version, so I can see the difference between the two. And it's just the simple surface file. And I want to show you how I designed this. So first of all, I designed the front surface. You can see I was using 2 points, a spline, and then a tangency condition at the top. So I have a nice curved shape. And 2 guides made a sweep on the inner surface, and in the end I trimmed these 2 surfaces together. You can see both of these surfaces are slightly curved in every direction. So it took a while to figure that one out so that it fits to the car. And after trimming them together, it looks like this. There is this fillet between the 2 and the round cutout at the side, which I matched to the car. So that fits perfectly now. And in the end, so this is how it looks like when you mirror the part, because we designed the left-hand side part because that's the one we had, and then mirror it to the other side because we need the right-hand side part. The gray one now is the version 2. So you can see that I shortened it on the inner side and I was adding these clips just like the real part, so like the VW part has it. And on the inner side I was adding these 4 reinforcements because it was a bit too bendy and I wanted to have it a bit stronger without increasing too much material. The problem is just with this, if you have this structure on the inner side, you will also see some interference on the other side. So I will remove this for version 3 again and just increase the thickness, because now I pretty much have the final shape. And at the bottom you could see that I created a support so I can build this corner better when I'm 3D printing this part. Also you can see how the first part, the pink one, was a little bit too big, so I shortened it a little bit so it's a bit smaller now, and that fits very well. So I'm quite happy with the part. This is what the current one at the car looks like in CATIA, and this is how I printed it. And I will still increase it on increase the length on the inner side, but it's pretty much there. But you just always need 2-3 iterations to get it right. So I guess that was necessary. You can even look through this one. Okay, and now without the box, look at that. So we will clean this properly now. Now everything's nice and clean and we can put it all back. And just lovely to work on a VW, because I was wondering, what is this and what is that? This even has a cover here, right? So if you take this out, then these 2 gaps, they help you to slide this part right in, and it fits perfectly. So now everything is nice and clean and I just put everything back together. And changing the air filter is actually a bit annoying on this car because it's from below with these 4 screws. And then you can take this out here, but look at this. Look at how dirty and filthy that is. It's a bit hard to take it with one hand here. Okay, look at all the dirt. Then on here, it looks like it's from 2011, if I see that right. So yeah, 14 years with this air filter. So let's put the new one in. And then I was cleaning the engine bay. So that's an ongoing process, and my philosophy here is that I always clean whatever I'm currently working on. So I was working on the gearbox before, so the gearbox area is nice and clean now, and every time I have a little bit of spare time I go to the Lupo engine bay and just clean it a bit. DIY was sending me their all clean product for this, which is especially good for greasy surfaces, so it's just taking off all the oily stuff, and you can very nicely clean your engine bay with that. I put it in one of my pressure bottles, and then you can just spray it in the engine bay and just wipe it off after it could work for a couple of minutes. And this is how I could clean the whole engine bay very nicely. So engine cover was completely full of stuff after 26 years, and I think never anybody cleaned that before. So it's really nice. You can clean everything properly and it leaves a nice shiny finish, which can also last for a while. So if you like these products, if you want to check them out with the link below the video. So especially if you're working on cars that have been neglected for more than 20 years and they never have been cleaned properly, there's a lot to do. Like you can see here, this whole brake booster area is still something I need to clean. So that's going to be next. But everything here was super greasy and black, and you can still see some of this stuff here where I couldn't reach it. But you can really clean it nicely with this DIY oil cleaner, and it gives you quite a nice finish afterwards that can also last for a while. And they also sent me a nice interior cleaner, which actually smells like strawberry milk. I usually don't quite like the smell of interior cleaners or cleaning products, but I really did like this one, and it leaves a nice smell in your car, which is not really annoying, but it just smells nice. And you can properly clean the surfaces, and it leaves a nice finish. So if you're interested, check the link below. So DIY Detail told me that if I mix the tire dressing 50-50 with water, I can also use it for the plastic parts. So let's try this. Basically, you spray it on the surface and then you just remove the excess with a dry cloth. So let's see how that works. Okay, and now it's been like 5 minutes, so I can wipe off the excess with a dry cloth. So let's see how it will turn out. This is my 3D printed part. Let's see what it does to this. So this is what it looks like after I wipe the excess off and it's all dry. Again, that was the tire dressing with 50% water, so works pretty nicely. And now it looks nice and shiny and like new. You can especially see it at the rear bumper, which just looked awful before, so it was light gray, and now it's nice and shiny and black, just the way how it should be. Other things I did on the car is, for example, I installed an antenna again, so you can see I wanted to have this longer version of the antenna because somehow I think it fits better. I think this antenna was only €5, and then you even get it with different stays here or different long tubes, so you can decide how long you want to have it. The shortest one would be until here. I wanted to have the longer one because I think it fits the style better. Another thing that bothered me were the worn out green logos at the back, so the 3L and the TDI. You can buy them new and it's pretty expensive, and then also it's never so easy to position them perfectly again, so I just kept the original ones, peeled off the original wrap, and then just got such a green wrap sample, so which is a sample you can get for €3 or something like this, and I was just cutting out these letters and stick them on, and it looks like original. It's pretty much the same color like original. It's not perfect, but it's almost perfect, so if you just like stand 1 meter away from it, you can't see any problems with it, so it looks nice, just how it should be. And another thing that I did was I was repainting the rear wiper. The wiper wasn't in the correct position, so I repositioned it. I also painted it in black again and gave it a new rubber, so it's nice again and it works. Also the nozzle here works again, and I did the same at the front wiper. So the front left wiper was a bit annoying while driving because it was super rusty here. So I just took it off, rubbed it all down, and then just spray painted it again. Again, just black matte, just standard. You can still see how the passenger side looks like. So the driver's side was similar, just worse. This one will be next. And then I also gave it some new rubber here. So I never changed the whole piece. I only changed the blade at the front, which is just something you can buy like for very little money per meter, and then you just cut down whatever you need. So that's also a very cheap thing. And another thing that was always annoying while driving was that the side window didn't work, so I couldn't roll it down. These are not power windows, so these are manual, but something didn't quite work. And when I bought the car, where this window was always slightly further down here, so there was always a gap of like 1 centimeter, and it was really hard to roll it down and roll it up, and I was afraid that anything would break. So I had a look at this mechanism. I took the whole mechanism out, and I realized that there are two clamps that are holding the window from below, and the rear clamp has a plastic clip. That clip broke off, and just the windscreen, or the side window, was always just held by the forward clamp, not by the rearward clamp. So I just repaired that, put it back on. Didn't have to buy anything new. I just put a screw in and a few big washers, and then it works again. Now I greased everything. I also cleaned everything properly inside there, so all these guides and the cable, and lots of WD-40 as well. And now it works nicely again. It can roll down very easily, and that is very nice when you're driving in parking houses, for example, and when you really need the side window. So the next topics I have with this car are, for example, the driver door. You can still see all this rubbish around here, so I need to properly clean this around there. And then also this door cover is loose. They broke everything off. They put these screw-ins here. It's really worn out, so I want to have a new one for this. The lower side is okay, but the upper one is not. It all works, but it just doesn't look very nice. The next thing is the radio. I actually have the same radio in my Trabant, and in the Trabant I recently had the problem that the battery was empty a couple of times, and I found out that actually this radio is pulling 80 milliamperes, where usually a radio should be between 10 and 30 milliamperes. So which means that my Trabant's battery, which is new and also quite strong, is empty after 20 days. And it would be the same for the Lupo. So for the Lupo I have the problem that I can't really use the radio right now, because someone fiddled around with the wiring loom between the fuse box and the radio and the cable 15, so the ignition cable. It's just giving me a constant 12 volt instead of the ignition one, so it's not the controllable one, which I need for the radio. So which means the radio would be constantly on, and that would be a problem. But even if I could switch it off with this radio, I would always have the problem that if the car is standing for more than 2 weeks, I would have a problem with the battery. So that's why I will fix the wiring loom and then put in a radio which actually fits in here, probably an older VW radio that fits to the Lupo. So as you could see, the Lupo is getting better and better. I was fixing all of the technical issues of the car, and now it's all about making the car pretty. So stay tuned for the next part.